Unseasonably warm weather bringing two realities to San Diego. The high temperatures driving people to the beautiful beaches and bringing higher fire danger. Plus, federal prosecutors saying some rioters intended to capture and kill members of Congress during last week's breach of the Capitol. The disturbing first-hand account from Capitol Police. And federal unemployment benefits for Californians affected by COVID-19. The local bartender who says the relief couldn't happen soon enough.
ABC 10 News at 4 starts now.
And starting with a developing story, several governors say they have learned today that a federal stockpile of vaccines that they were counting on does not exist. Good afternoon. I'm Kimberly Hunt. Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar said earlier this week the Trump administration was releasing the reserve of doses that it had been holding back for booster shots. Oregon's governor was one of a handful of governors who said the news puts their state's plan to expand vaccinations for those over 65 into disarray. California also announced this week that counties could open up vaccinations to those 65 and older when the counties are ready. And this afternoon, Governor Newsom said he felt misled by the federal government, but that California has enough vaccine to deliver booster shots. Meantime, President-elect Joe Biden announced a plan to ramp up vaccination production. Biden announced today he intends to use the Defense Production Act to maximize the manufacturing of coronavirus vaccine.
This will be one of the most challenging operational efforts ever undertaken by our country. But you have my word that we will manage the hell out of this operation.
In Biden's proposed American Rescue Plan, $20 billion are set aside for a national vaccination program, including community vaccination centers and mobile units for hard-to-reach areas. You can stay on top of all of the latest news on the coronavirus with the ABC 10 News mobile app that is free in the App Store as well as Google Play. The holiday weekend is underway and warmer weather is drawing more people to the coast. And that means businesses at the beach are expecting to be busy. ABC 10 News reporter Jennifer De La Cruz shows us how one local shop has been thriving during COVID-19.
PB Surf Shop is one of the lucky few businesses still flourishing during the pandemic.
I think it's been real easy because we're basically all outside.
The shop on the boardwalk offers beach rentals and surf lessons. Owner Chad James says there's been no shortage of demand over the past year.
Surfing's over the top. It's like another rush on it. I think people have been given the permission by general circumstances to pull the trigger on things they've been putting off doing for a long time.
While it's only the middle of January, high temperature records have already been shattered this week in San Diego County. With more people expected at the coast for the holiday weekend, James says he's looking forward to more customers.
We're expecting it to be a pretty busy weekend. People don't have to come inside, so being right on the boardwalk like we are in PB, it's real easy to just come right up. Social distance, stay outside.
While businesses like surf shops are thriving, restaurants are still limited on how they can operate. With indoor and outdoor dining still banned by the state, tables and chairs sat totally empty on the boardwalk Friday. In normal times with weather like this, they would certainly be packed. Beachgoers this weekend will have to opt for takeout and a surf lesson instead.
Really lucked out on this whole thing. I mean, I just think that the best thing going right now is being outside.
Jennifer De La Cruz, ABC 10 News.
San Diego lifeguards tell us they will be increasing staff through at least Tuesday because of high surf. Meteorologist Angelica Campos is joining us live. She has more on this beautiful beach weather, but it's also hot and dry conditions. Angelica?
It is beautiful, Kim, as you said, but we know this time of the year, our county really desperately needs some rain. Otherwise, we stay very dry and it elevates fire danger. Looking at relative humidity with Santa Ana winds in place, it is so dry. This will make us very susceptible to any fire. It would spread very quickly. The conditions now 10% Ramona, 8% in Alpine. And the only reason why we don't have a red flag warning is because the winds are not strong for a long period of time. It's just very isolated in nature. Temperatures trending 2-3 degrees warmer than yesterday. Already today, 88 degrees in San Diego, even though temperatures have dropped back down to 75. We did tie the record from 1953. And I should be able to have the entire list of all the records by the bottom of the hour. But for now, tracking the heat, keeping an eye on the elevated fire danger. I'll show you when temperatures will start to cool back down.
Thank you. Capture and kill. That's what federal prosecutors say some rioters wanted to do when they attempted to take over the U.S. Capitol. As Nadia Romero reports, we're getting detailed accounts of what happened during the deadly siege.
During the deadly attempted coup at the U.S. Capitol, police were outnumbered and overwhelmed.
Some guys started getting a hold of my gun, and they were screaming out, kill him with his own gun. At that point, it was just like self-preservation. How do I survive this situation?
In a court filing, federal prosecutors outlined the intent of some members of the mob. Capture and assassinate elected officials.
There's a guy ripping my mask off, and he was able to rip away my baton and beat me with it, and he was practically foaming at the mouth. They were waving the thin blue line flag and telling us, we're not your enemies, while they were attacking us and, kill one of us.
The violence dangerously close to Vice President Mike Pence. According to the Washington Post, the rioters were just seconds away from potentially seeing the vice president.
We came very close to what would have been a lot of mayhem and death on the floor of the Congress.
As the investigation into the insurrection continues, a new security bulletin notes actors from Russia, Iran, and China are already fanning the flames to further their policy interests. In the days before the inauguration, thousands of National Guard troops patrol the streets of Washington, D.C., while states prepare for the potential of more violence.
We are prepared. We cannot allow a recurrence of the chaos and illegal activity that the United States and the world witnessed last week.
In Washington, I'm Nadia Romero.
The examination of how rioters got into the Capitol is deepening. This time, an internal review will happen at the Justice Department. It will look at whether the department did all it could to share information with law enforcement about possible violence. We've since learned the FBI says it shared threats made ahead of the incident with agencies. Similar reviews are happening within Homeland Security and the Interior Department, which oversees Park Police. Meanwhile, the FBI says it is tracking, quote, extensive amounts of concerning chatter online ahead of next week's inauguration. That includes word of armed people at possible rallies and protests at state capitals and other government buildings. Security is already at an unprecedented level right now in Washington, D.C., and that includes armed National Guard, razor wire fencing, concrete barriers, and blocks of streets closed off all around the Capitol.
As the debate over youth sports in California during the pandemic continues, groups around the state want to send a message to leaders, and that message is let them play. 10 News reporter Anthony Pura is at Scripps Ranch High School, where one of many demonstrations is scheduled this afternoon there. Hi, Anthony.
Hi, Kimberly. And yes, many parents, students, coaches, they've started to arrive here within the past few minutes. Take a look. This is at Scripps Ranch Boulevard. They are lined up along this fence line here. This is by Scripps Ranch High School Stadium. They've arrived just a few minutes ago. They brought their signs. They're looking to get their message across, as you mentioned. Essentially, they want the state to let them play. Now, since the pandemic started, sports across the state has been put on hold. Student athletes have been allowed to do workouts and conditioning, but these families want student athletes to get back into their high school sport. Now, they're demanding that the governor allow it. We've talked with them, and they say that they believe it is safe to resume sports based on data that they've seen from other states where high school sports have been allowed to continue. And again, this is a live look here. This is along Scripps Ranch Boulevard by Scripps Ranch High School Stadium. This demonstration here is expected to last for about an hour or so, and we will stay out here and we're going to talk to a few more of these parents and students and coaches, and we'll bring you more in later editions of ABC 10 News. We're reporting live tonight. Anthony Pura, ABC 10 News.
Cancer patients are especially vulnerable to coronavirus, but because there isn't a lot known about how COVID vaccines affect cancer patients, some may be hesitant to get it. only a handful of patients with cancer were included in clinical trials, partly because the goal was to get the vaccine approved as quickly as possible, and also because of the substantial risk of severe symptoms from COVID. However, doctors say there isn't any data to suggest there would be serious side effects from the vaccine itself.
It's not believed that cancer patients are going to have any increased risk of these types of complications. And I think most importantly, there's no data that we would anticipate that cancer patients would do worse in terms of their cancer outcomes after being vaccinated.
The only questions right now are over just how robust of a response will the immune system have. Doctors emphasize that any protection is still better than none, especially in cancer patients who have weaker immune systems. So it is strongly recommended they get vaccinated, but it is important to talk to their providers first to see if there is any reason they should not get the shot.
Also, is there a specific time during a month of treatment, for example, that are better than others to be vaccinated? So we know that certain chemotherapies might suppress somebody's immune system, and therefore they might not be able to have as good a response to a vaccine.
Cancer patients will soon be eligible for vaccine trials, as well as other populations like children and pregnant women.